Hi, welcome. This is the first day of class for international business, and we're not holding class, at least not in person. So this video is in lieu of the first class. What I'd like to do in this video is just talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing this semester and what is going to be expected from you. First of all, let me just introduce myself for those of you who haven't had me before. My name is Hans Schumann. I have been a professor here in the College of Business, technically an associate professor. I started at TMUC about 11 years ago. Prior to that, I had a career in industry, with my last job being at GE Healthcare, where I was Global Pricing Director. But I've had lots of positions in entrepreneurship, in product pricing, and in marketing in my previous lives before becoming a professor. Anyways, this is the class that I enjoy, one of the two classes I enjoy teaching the most. The other one is entrepreneurship, and I may have some of you in my entrepreneurship class later on this afternoon. Okay, international business, okay, has two words in it: international and business. This class is a combination of the two. It is a 2000 level class, which means it is an it is a lower level undergraduate class. It is a gen ed class for the college, for the university. So some of you may not be business majors. Some of you are business majors because it is a required class as part of our business core. Okay, so we've got a little bit of variety. Now, it is designed to be a 2000 level class. And as such, it is not going to be quite as rigorous as an upper level class in business. And that makes sense. It's an introductory class to business. So for those who are business majors and for some reason have waited until your junior or senior level to take this class, some of the business concepts are going to be significantly more review for you than new material. Okay, for those of you just starting out in your business curriculum, this is going to be a little bit as an introduction, and obviously for those from other colleges and the university who are taking this class as a gen ed class, it is to some degree an introductory class in business. So don't be all worried about how much rigor is going to be involved in terms of the term business. The other term is international. Okay, and this is the part of the class that I think is the most interesting, and it's the part of the class that makes this a gen ed class for the rest of the university. Because in the part that we talk about international, we're going to be talking about differences in culture. We're going to be talking about differences in institutions. We're going to be talking about how things are different in different parts of the world, and you need to adapt yourself to them, right? Now we have, down in Kingsville, we have a little bit of an advantage because we live in a world that straddles kind of two international cultures. You have the culture that is what I would call American culture, right? And we have the Mexican culture. Remember, it wasn't until the 1800s that where we are standing in Kingsville was part of the United States. It was, prior to that, technically part of Mexico proper. Okay, and many of our families of our students are have been here for generations. Okay? Where we live, it's not that most of our residents crossed the border nearly as much as the border crossed them, right? The border to Mexico proper never was the Rio Grande. It was the Nueces River that went into Corpus Christi, right? So, as such, we live in a world where we have a culture that's different. For brand new professors that are coming into our university, this is one of the major items that I need to talk to them about, or I feel like I have a need to talk to them about, that our culture here is different. Okay? And we are a very Hispanic culture. For almost all of you, family is by far the number one priority in your lives. Second priority seems to be your part-time jobs or your jobs and loyalty to your employer. And then third on the list is furthering your education. Right? If I had taught this class up north being further than San Antonio, as some of your definitions of, oh, I'm willing to take a job up north, and when I pressed, oh, really, what cities are you interested in? I said, San Antonio. Okay, now, if you were to go further north than San Antonio, maybe to Kansas City or something like that, okay, you'll see that those priorities are very different. In this class, it may very well be that that schooling would be the number one issue, with family being second and loyalty to a part-time job being way down on the list, right? Things are different depending on where you are, okay? And that's one of the things that we need to explain to new professors that come down here, that what they may have experienced in their home cities is not the culture down at Timbuk. Okay. I'm going to use a phrase that we use when I take the students to a study abroad. Every year we go to study abroad to Germany, to a university in Lunenburg. We do it jointly with ourselves. UT Rio Grande Valley, and in the past we've the third university that has sent students was LSU Shreveport. Anyways, in that program, which I'll talk about quite a number of times to encourage you to take, we had a saying. It's basically our motto, and the motto for that class is, it's not better, it's not worse, it's different. Well, we have the same scenario that I think I could use that motto for this class when we look at different cultures. The different cultures around the world, they're not better, they're not worse, but they're different. And this class explores them and explores how that interfaces with companies wanting to do business around the world. Okay. Now, the world is changing quite a bit. Okay. In many ways it's changing, in many ways it's staying the same. But politically, geopolitically, it is changing. Right. Right now, the war in Ukraine has significantly changed a lot of the dynamics, right? A lot of the dynamics having to do with energy, energy independence. The war has created a problem in all of Western Europe that was becoming very heavily dependent upon Russia for its energy sources, right? So even when we think about things in Germany, okay, the impact of the war in Ukraine has a major impact on the economy and how people are running their daily lives in Germany. Okay? Now, the war in Ukraine is a new phenomenon. Okay? Prior to that, there were other new phenomena, such as when we study the European Union, we had Brexit a few years ago where the British had left the European Union. Okay? We had other events. Okay? And the reason I'm bringing this up now is because I want to talk a little bit about your book. Okay? When you go to your syllabus and you look at the book and you order it online or you go to the bookstore, okay? I think the bookstore is going to be selling the electronic versions, but you can buy it through the bookstore or from many other sources. I personally like physical books, but I'm old. Okay? Anyways, one of the things that you will see is that this is not a textbook that I have historically used. Okay? It is not the textbook that I used in the summer class, which was an entirely online class. It is the same book I used in the spring semester. So if you know of someone who took it in the spring semester, and you want to use their book, fine. Just make sure that it was the right spring semester, right? If it was another semester, chances are pretty heavily that it's not the same book I used. Furthermore, I'm not going to use this book probably again after the semester. And let me explain a little bit why. Okay? It has to do with timing. And because some of the events that have happened have fundamentally changed a few different things, I found that the old book that I used was just too dated. It didn't have things like Brexit in it. It didn't talk about the coronavirus and how that impacted different societies differently, and commerce in general, and so on and so forth. So I needed to find a book that was more modern, that was closer to, the current times, that was not written 6 years ago, but written 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, right? So the book we have now that you're studying is a modern. It was the most modern that I found when I adopted it in the spring. And it does a good job. There's only one drawback to it, and it's sort of a major drawback. It's sort of good in some ways, but not good in other ways. And that is, when you read the book, it is obvious that it is written at a junior or senior level. Okay? It goes into depth, and more so than I would like an introductory book to do. For you, that means it's going to be a slow read. It's a very good read. Okay? They do a very good job of going through it. But it's going to take you a little bit longer because it really is written more junior, senior, or maybe even graduate school level. Right? Okay. So I want to apologize a little bit for that, but not too much. Don't buy a book that you think you're gonna, if you've got a brother or a sister who's half a year behind you or a year behind you, this is going to be the last semester I use this book. And the reason is that there's a new edition coming out in the book that I really enjoy teaching out of that is more at the level. But that's not going to be available until December after you guys have graduated, right? So, you won't be able to give this, well, you'll be able to give this book to others, but they're not going to be able to use it as their textbook for this class. You'll still be able to sell it online for others to read, right? But you may want to rent your main textbook for that reason. Okay, so be careful. It's going to be allocate a little bit more time to reading the chapters than you would, because again, the book is going to be at a slightly higher level than even my classes are going to be. So it's just going to take you a little bit longer to read. Okay, you can handle it, but it's just going to be a little bit longer. All right. You'll notice that I jump chapters quite a bit. This is international business. So we talk some things about business. We talk some things about international culture. And essentially what we're going to be doing is the very first part of the first week or so are going to be general introductions about international businesses as a whole, right? And then we're going to jump to the chapters that talk about cultural differences and institutional differences, which is what I consider to be the most important part of this class, or the most interesting part of this class. And then we jump back and take care of some of the other business aspects of this class. So we will jump back and forth. And the good news is that most of the topics that we have in this class, unlike statistics, where if you miss a chapter, you're probably not going to understand all the other chapters at the end of the book. The chapters in the book and the topics that we cover are a series of things that don't have to be taken in the order, any particular order. And one is not necessarily dependent upon the other. So we will be jumping around quite a bit. Look at your syllabus. The syllabus has, all of the chapters in the order that we're going to cover them. Okay, look at the syllabus. It's on Blackboard. The syllabus has information on the books. I mentioned the first book. The second book is a recommended book. This book is one that you can get used copies for $3, $4, $5. Kiss, bow, or shake hands. This is actually a book that is something that I would buy and hold on to after you finish this class and after you finish your studies at the university, because it is a very good book that goes through most major countries and talks about the things you need to know, at least on a basic level, before doing business with people from that culture, from that country, or in that country. So it is a great reference book to have in your shelves. Okay. So I take that one, hold on to it at the end of the class. If you are holding on to your textbook, just look in the mirror. You're a pack rat. Okay, your main textbook, you might as well rent. Don't hold on to it, right? It's not going to do you an awful lot of good to go back and reference. The recommended book, you probably can make it through. You can make it through this class without needing it. It'd be a little bit helpful when you do the group projects, but it is a book that I would hold on to and put in your permanent collection. Anyways, I'm going to keep this short and pretty much sign off around here. And I look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday, and we will get started at that point in time. But keep dry. Depending on where you are driving from, it looks like Corpus, we're kind of on the north end of it. We've had this morning some pretty heavy rain, but so far so good, knock on wood. It looks from the weather maps that there were bigger storms that were going through Kingsville and further down toward the valley in some of the rural areas. You might be getting significantly more rain. If there's water in the streets and flooding in the streets, more people die in flooding than anything else. So, be careful. If you can't see the bottom if you can't see through the puddle, okay, if the water's too deep, stop, turn around, and don't drown. Okay? Anyways, we'll see everybody Thursday. Hopefully by then the storm will have passed and we'll get to meet each other in person. Bye-bye.